Everyone's fourth, as I mentioned. West Ham, Leicester, he touched on it. The hammer spared, blushes by Craig Dawson, but it stays 2-0 against the Leicester City that really needed some results with Brendan Rodgers knowing that he's feeling the pressure. Antonio Conte on a 3-game losing streak. First time since he was an Atalanta manager, by the way. And up next, nothing but Man City away. So good luck with that. Manchester United 1, Southampton 1. You got to give it up to Ralph Hasenhüttl, by the way. Amazing. And we'll talk about, I want these boys' opinions about the Ted Lasso comments on Chris Armas. We'll get to that in a second. But yes, Newcastle, 3 wins on the bounce, Jimmy Conrad. Well done. Amazing. Aston Villa, we were horrific. But doesn't matter. 3 wins on the road, Jimmy Conrad. Well done. So any thoughts from the Premier League? Arsenal, of course, were meant to play Chelsea, but Chelsea are club World Cup champions, so they were a little busy. Jimmy Conrad, any thoughts from the Premier League?
Hey, but before Jimmy jumps in, I'm offended that you said nobody wants fourth because Arsenal would have punched Chelsea in the face.
No, that's true. You know what? No, you know what? Fair play. I don't want the angry, weird Arsenal fans getting at me, but you do have 2 games in hand, and you're looking favorites for fourth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's right.
Big time. Go ahead,
Jimmy. My initial thought was when I saw the result, and I caught bits and pieces of the Tottenham game today because I was watching Newcastle instead. But what I saw and when I saw what was happening, it made me think what the satisfaction that Jose Mourinho must be getting out of this.
Totally. I'm surprised he didn't post it on his Instagram.
I don't know if he's got a lot of joy.
I don't know, dude. What are you talking about? I mean, everybody thought it was
loving every minute of it.
Of course he is. And he's basically said we didn't have the players weren't good enough.
They drew Sassuolo, though, this weekend. So it's not like
I get it.
living on a high.
No, he's not living on a high, but there's got to be some satisfaction of a like a jaded.
Yeah,
he's a jaded.
Oh, Jimmy, 100% Jose Mourinho is looking at that result. I told you it wasn't me.
And so is Nuno Espirito Santo. We're like, see, it's not me. Yeah. It's not the tactics. These players are soft. They just don't know how to make plays.
Yeah. He's in his locker room saying, he's in his locker room right now after a game of drawing Sassuolo, Jimmy, saying, hey, it could be worse. It could
be worse. We can still manage your Spurs, boys. Let's get the drinks out. 100%. 100%.
I need to be a fly on the wall in the Tottenham dressing room when he's like just going nuts. Because today was also, listen, Wolves are a very good team defensively, but they were pitiful ones. Again, they couldn't come up with enough ideas. I mean, it was bad. Heath Pearce. I know Arsenal have 2 games in hand. The games from this weekend in the Premier League. Manchester United, we got to touch on them for a second. I mean, you got to give credit to Southampton, but Man U once again.
Yeah, Man U are very fragile as we continue to see. And look, it's not like they've gone out and made a bunch of changes, right? I mean, if anything, more controversy has been added to just trying to, and maybe that simplifies things, but you still have the issue of like, whose team is it? Is it Ronaldo's team? Then you have the Greenwood incident. That's not a great look for the club for a young player like that. And then I think Jadon Sancho scored, which was that's a positive, right? Something to take out.
It was a good goal.
But yeah, they're just a mess. I mean, but the thing that I took away from this weekend was West Ham, and the fact that we were upping Antonio so much, and Mikel Antonio's only scored 2 in his last 18 games across all competitions. But Bowen is rocking for this team right now, and now there's all these shouts
he's on my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah, well done, Jimmy. Good pick.
Should be called for England for the next friendlies, I think.
He should.
Absolutely, and there's legitimate shouts for that. He's got 9 assists on the season. I think he's got 7 goals in his last 8 games across all competitions. Granted, a couple of those are easier games, but no game is easy when you're trying to prove yourself. And I just think that that's a huge thing for West Ham when you think about the fact that if you took him out of that goal production, and it's a stupid argument to make, and Mikel Antonio is not in the form that he once was when he was breaking the record, and he was kind of the talk of the town. We had him top of our CONCACAF power rankings and all of this stuff. Where would they be, right? In terms of this top 4 conversation. And so to know that you have other contributors that are stepping up to carry that team, I think has to be at least a relief for the fan base to know that their production doesn't come from one person and they're not stuck on this thing that they live and die by Mikel Antonio to get them the goals that they need to finish in the top 4 this season.
They're still 4th, though, Jimmy, right? No. United do have a game in hand, but they're still 4th. At least that point guarantees them that.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say there's a great stat on Jared Bowen, who apparently he's had a direct hand in more Premier League goals this season The only other person better than him is Mo Salah, who has 25. Bowen has 8 goals and 7 assists. He's the only Englishman in the competition. He's the highest scorer, English. God, I'm saying this all wrong. But in the Premier League since the beginning of 2022, he's the Englishman that scored the most goals. So, yes, he deserves a call. With regard now, I'd throw it back to Manchester United because I saw another crazy stat, too, that I want to share because I think it does speak to some of the issues they're going through. For only the second time in their history in the Premier League, Manchester United have failed to win back-to-back matches despite being ahead at halftime in both, having less done so in December 1998. So there's something clearly afoot with them. I don't have issues with Rangnick. I know I'm not a Manchester United supporter, and it's the highs and lows of being that is pretty dramatic at the moment.
There's a clear issue though, Jimmy,
but
right?
It's
toxic. I mean, what do you make of the Chris Armas thing, by the way? Them
with the Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
It's not great. I feel like somebody said to me, "Oh, well, isn't that a compliment because he's such a nice guy and he wants what's best for the players?" And I'm like, no.
It's not a compliment.
They're using it the other way, which is this guy is a happy-go-lucky American who knows nothing about the game. I promise you, that's what they're going with.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. But I also thought, okay, let's take Chris Armas out of it, and you brought Jesse Marsh in. I feel like they still would have given Jesse Marsh the same nickname.
Yeah,
right?
There's
he's
an
American. He's got a good energy. So I think so I'm trying to is it just because he's an American and there's just that perception about what we know about the game and what we don't, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know, but
I think the bigger point is that there's no respect of hierarchy in that club right now.
Yeah, but don't you think that I feel like that's probably been called to, I'm guessing that they probably called Dane Murphy at Nottingham Forest, the same thing, that if the results were different, I would feel like people would still call him that. It would just be probably said in a different light. Now it's being used to drag him, right?
Unless, of course, it's like Sir Alex Ferguson that's actually saying it. Anybody seen Ted Lasso around? I never saw, let's call him that. Yeah. No, but listen, there's a toxic situation right now. To your point, I mean, the other part of the article was that Ralph Rangnick gives him homework to do and all that, and they don't like it. Ronaldo doesn't look happy. I mean, there's a lot going on with Manchester United right now. Right. I mean, that's the bigger essence.
I mean, if you look at it, if you can extract the emotion out of their situation, you go, listen, we had plenty of chances to beat Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. We just didn't score them. We had plenty of chances to put Burnley away before they got back into the game, which both of the goals that they gave up in those 2 games was their first shot on goal for both opponents. You're like, okay, sweet. Now we got to be perfect in the back because our attack just isn't firing on all cylinders. Yeah. And then you got this Southampton game. Okay, maybe they didn't have as many chances, but they had enough to maybe, squeak something out. Plus, while this is all happening, you have Harry Maguire probably playing as bad as he has in the last few years. Luke Shaw hasn't been up for it. Ronaldo's going through a super slump, and he needs to do more abs or crunches to make himself feel better again, or whatever the hell he does.
He's going through aging. He's going through
that too. It's
like,
but Jadon Sancho's at least benefiting from it because he's been looking pretty good.
What has been our argument this whole time, Jimmy? At the very beginning, Ronaldo's introduction blinded Jadon Sancho's productivity, and now because Ronaldo's not, it's just tough. By the way, Natalie, a great comment, Natalie. They're just a bunch of Jamie Tarts. That's very, very, very good.
And we've talked about it before. That's not only the coaching and the players, but their transfer policy, the players they brought in, did they necessarily work? It's just there's so much to unpack there with Manchester United.